and welcome to the Academy stream on a perfectly normal, totally average day of the week. We've got some fun games probably planned today, I don't know, with some teams like Evil Genius's Prodigies, AOE Randoms, Supernova, and Taco Gaming as well. And wait, sorry, what's that? Are you telling me it's Tuesday? It's Taco Tuesday. I repeat, everybody, it's Taco Tuesday. Taco Gaming is playing on their special day. Code red. Cut the feed. Cut the feed. It's too much.
We're not ready for this.
Forward on this one. Doxa picked up the one. Trickster goes down to the backside to Shochi. Shochi barely avoiding that W coming out of Links, and now the chase is on. It's Doxa versus Shochi. And what a bubble by Doxa. The Paddle Star's not going to come through the ball.
And the Pantheon Ultimate will arrive eventually.
Here we go. Attempt against. Here comes the realm. It gets stolen away. Honori takes it. He takes the life of Vex as well. He will take the lives of Winthrop. Much more scrappy, skirmishy fight going for Perry. Perry's able to back up in time as the pressing guard goes up. Now Perry goes into the face of City Witty. And LeGrade picks up another one. It's going to be a double kill. He's looking for more though. Goes after Faisal. Faisal hops on, is able to complete the jump, but Faisal's still alive. Faisal's going after LeGrade, but Existence is on the jump. Will LeGrade survive? Answer's gonna be no. Faisal!
Use those long range. It won't go down just yet. Psycho. Okay, he dashed forward. Dark Pass.
Oh, huge! Charm gets the
Detention!
snipe from detention! Scoop just stays alive as actually we've seen a flank, but the charm
Three-man
stops
charm,
it.
but it doesn't do any damage. It doesn't do any damage. They're not here yet, but it has bought time. It's bought time, and they're locked up. Griffin has to run away. The reposition comes through, but there's a reset for Scoop.
Scoop.
Can he carry the fight? Scoop's got two. Jeremy's in trouble. It's gonna be three. It's gonna be four. Scoop may have given no team away. Back into the game.
Committing to the end. Anime Girl up in 20 seconds. That is the mid lane inhibitor turret dead. Ezra ultimate used into the base, Desirux.
Oh, here we go. Call
The
the force
minions!
goes off to go after Shochi, able to get the knockback on Shochi. Shochi falls before getting the shockwave off, but the minions are taking down the base. The minions are doing work. Redbird have to do work faster. They're going after the Nexus towers, but the Nexus towers are
TP!
healthy. Trevor doing
Anime Girl's doing
going
it!
after the Nexus tower number one. It will fall. There's Anime Girl. He's
Anime
teleporting
Girl!
into the base. He is going for the back door. Structures are getting destroyed.
No way!
Some way! Immortals! AOE! Backdoor Redbird!
And welcome back for real this time to the Academy stream. What an awesome video that was to get us hyped up for the day. Of course, my name is Hawk. I will be your host today on the Analyst Desk, but joining me are the wonderful and amazing Random Minion Caster and Coach Incon. How are you all doing?
Doing great.
Awesome.
Doing good. I got the whole summer field, so yep.
Yeah. That's all I have to say. Sorry, hearing Smacks yell "Anime Girl" over and over again in that video still sends me to this day. So
Yeah, hey,
trying to recover.
that name change. Rest in peace, Anime Girl. You know, we're proud of you for making Academy, but it's sad. But either way, you know, that's all in the past. But we're looking forward here now. It's the summer. RMC, you're looking all summered up. You guys been enjoying it so far? Had a good Memorial Day long weekend, yeah?
Yeah, so I'm actually not American, so I didn't have Memorial Day, but I did enjoy the games yesterday, though. That almost makes up for not having a day off.
Yeah, some landslide victories yesterday. But games were still fun to watch. Casting was great. Analyst work by the local RBM from Michigan State represent. It's my turn on desk today, so hope to carry the torch after him and have another good cast.
Awesome. You love to hear it. There truly is no better summer activity than playing and watching League of Legends. And to explain how the format is going to work for this tournament, just in case you don't know, we do have Desirux coming in with a very helpful video. Take it away.
Welcome to the Summer Proving Ground Circuit Qualifier number 1, presented by Unify. 32 teams will compete in a 5-round Swiss Open qualifier to decide who will advance to the 16-team group stage. The Swiss format matches teams with the same record against each other as the rounds progress. This means in round 2, the 1-0 teams will play each other, while the 0-1 teams will do battle, and so on. The 16 teams to reach 3 wins by the end of round 5 will move on to the group stage, where they'll be seeded based on their results in the Swiss. Each group will play in a best-of-3 double elimination bracket to decide who will advance to the playoff stage. The playoffs will be single elimination best-of-3 matches up until the grand final best-of-5 series. Teams will earn points based on their overall performance. Here's how the numbers break down. The top 10 amateur teams across both of the Proving Grounds circuit qualifiers will qualify for the Proving Grounds. The Open Qualifiers begins May 23rd. You can check out those games on the Unified Twitch channels, and groups begin May 30th. Make sure to watch all the games on twitch.tv/academy and twitch.tv/path2LCS. Which of these aspiring champions will rise to the top in the summer of 2022? Come see for yourself.
Thank you so much, Deserox, for that wonderful explanation. Of course, here on this Taco Tuesday, we are still in that first round of the best-of-3 double elimination group stage brackets, which means that the games today are not elimination matches or matches to get out of the group. However, winning today absolutely puts you in a favorable position moving forward. 16 teams still remain in the group stage out of the 32 that came into the Open Qualifiers. And just in case you missed the Open Qualifiers, we do have a quick little video talking about some of the stats and some of the storylines that happened back in the day. So we got Sky High Stats coming up right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sky High Stats. My name is Hawk, and in this segment, we'll be taking a leap into the sky and looking down upon some of the fun stats and facts from Proving Ground circuit action. First up, let's take a look at one of our more basic stats, but I think an interesting one that gives us a bit of a snapshot of the Open Qualifiers that just concluded. And man, what an insane Open Qualifier that was. But this stat is going to be KDA. And I think, unsurprisingly, 3 of the top 5 KDA leaders from the Open Qualifier were members of 100 Thieves Next. I guess it pays to be undefeated. But who were the 2 members that weren't on the Thieves? Well, it's actually 2 of the Evil Geniuses Prodigies. Doxa is coming in at our number 3 spot with a KDA of 8.4, while Donbray actually leads the pack with a staggering 12.33 KDA and 14.2 average assists per game. Next up, let's veer off to our right somewhere. I think there's probably a zoo somewhere around Unified City around here, and I think it should come to no surprise to any of you that in a tournament with a fan favorite monkey-themed team, that the big chimp Wukong was our highest presence champion for the Open Qualifier. It was picked or banned in 72 out of 80 games for a 93.5% presence. The other champion with over 90% presence was Lucian, which showed up in 71 games, so pretty close. Both those champions absolutely ruling the meta. I wouldn't expect them to go away anytime soon because they're looking pretty amazing so far on patch 12.10. For those that don't know, this patch was a big one, so be sure to check the patch notes if you haven't. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me on this lovely flight around Unified City. I hope to see you all next week, and I hope you enjoy the Proving Grounds Circuit Qualifier number 1 for the 2022 Summer Split. I hope you all enjoyed that little video. Gives you some interesting, fun facts from that Open Qualifier. But enough of that. It's on to the group stage. Of course, yesterday on stream, we had groups A and B throwing down against each other. On the Academy stream, of course, it was Jake's Kittens and AOE Ginger Turmeric that ended up taking the win. I'm sure you guys were probably watching those games. Any thoughts on the play from yesterday?
Personally, I wasn't surprised by too many of the games. I think Jake's Kittens handled third party pretty easily. I think Ginger Turmeric had a really good game plan going into their game, so seeing that 2-0 was a little surprising. I think 2-1 might have been more expected, but I think right side of the bracket was pretty standard. 100 Thieves Next kind of stole all of DK Crew's bananas and got the fast 2-0, not a surprise there. The closest game would have been Maryville Cincinnati Fear, but I think given how Cincinnati Fear played in the opening qualifiers, it wasn't surprising to see a team that's played as long as Maryville has to see them take the 2-1. Overall, I think it's pretty standard, pretty expected, and I think really wasn't too surprising. So
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And for me personally, I'm a little bit sad we didn't get to see really any upsets aside from the one game that MU dropped there. The higher seeds won, which I think it's not unexpected. And I'm kind of hoping today, Hawk and Gon, that we do get to see some upsets here, because that's what amateur is all about. It's not about, the boring, higher seeds always going to win. We always get some spicy games.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the matches that maybe we can see those upsets in. Of course, we are covering Group D on stream here on the Academy stream today. It will be Evil Geniuses Prodigies up against AOE Randoms up first, and then Taco Gaming and Supernova later on. But make sure you also check out the Path to LCS stream, where you can see the Group C action for some more amazing games. And speaking of those upsets, I mean, I would say EGP probably coming in to today as the favorite in this group. They looked amazing in the open qualifier. I think a lot of people have high expectations for this team, but who knows? Maybe AOE Randoms could knock one off. I don't know.
Yeah, I think inside of amateur, it's a highly volatile scene. And I think that with proper draft preparation and with the new patch being pretty fresh in people's minds and, shaking up the meta and, certain people having to adjust to a meta that might not be their favorite, I think it leads to the ability of their A being an upset. Whether it just be one game or two games, we're yet to see, but I think anything is possible inside of amateur itself.
Absolutely. Anything is possible, and that's what makes it so exciting. We can definitely get into that patch 12.10 a little bit later on in the analyst test because that is very important, but I do want to take a look at our caster predictions for the day as well. We reached out to all of our talent and got some thoughts, and wow, it seems like we are pretty unanimously in agreement for a lot of these games, which, hey, if we're looking for upsets, I think that is boding pretty well for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? The EGP preference doesn't surprise me. I mean, they are the first seed in this group. They went 4-1 in the OQs. I'm actually a little bit surprised by the AOE vote against 300 here. AOE's first seed, and they went 4-1 in OQs. I mean, 300's good, but they went 3-2. I'm a little bit surprised at Dylan and Travesty here.
That's what you're surprised by?
Yeah,
I have 300 being the favorite in that game.
Whoa,
if I were a
okay.
betting man, I would take 300 over AOE any day of the week. I think their bot lane was inconsistent. I think Skytech is an engage-only champion style. He struggles with enchanters that are on meta. I think the top laner is yet to be proven. I think the mid jungle is very strong for 300. I think that's a very good series to watch. I think that's surprising. And then CLG being so favorited over the other team, that's crazy. That is so wild to me.
I will say I was surprised as well by the Group C games. I was thinking that 300 AOE and TPA and CLG would also be close matches. However, Incon, if you said you're a betting man, I will absolutely take that bet with you 10 days out of 10 AOE up against 300. Just saying if you want to, but
I will bet next desk host that 300 wins.
All right.
I think we've got Incon on the wrong channel here. He needs to be on the Path to LCS channel to cover Group C.
Yeah, honestly, such high opinions, but I love it. That's what we love. Make sure you check out Path to LCS stream if you want to see those games. Clearly, we're a little divided here on the desk for those ones, but that's not what this is all about. Of course, here on the desk, we have made a few predictions of our own. If you were watching yesterday, we had a bit of a bingo card going. We did not quite get bingo, so we went in, decided to replace a few of the squares that we could no longer get with some new ones, and we're going to try to see how many days it takes us to get that bingo. So we're close on a few. We've got 3 in a few places. RMC, I don't know. Are you seeing anywhere where we might be able to get it done?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, we've got that 3 in the middle, which we could potentially pick up there. Geiger playing a new champ, especially with the new patch, I think is very doable. And game 3, that's the one I'm, a little bit tough on there.
Is production flaming my bingo card right now? Oh,
okay. No. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, Alarm did play yesterday, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Which it applies to Geiger, too. I want to say, he plays Urgot as well, but go ahead with what you're going to say.
Yeah, if I had to, say who's more iconic, Alarm or Geiger or Urgot, I think I'd pick Alarm 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Definitely Alorum. He did have the Urgot banned away from him in the first game of that series, so we did get that square crossed off. Thank you, Hyper, for making sure I had the bingo card correctly set up. But first match of the day, Evil Geniuses Prodigies up against AOE Randoms. We already prompted a little bit. AGP, they're coming in as the #1 seed in the group, 4-1 at OQ. Very, very strong performance. We saw on stream, they played an amazing game up against Maryville University, ended up winning really cleanly with Mia playing the Karthus. Now, up against AOE randoms. It seems like, from what I've been hearing, it might be a little bit more about the jungle matchup. And Inkan, I want to see if, pick your brain a little bit as to what that's about.
Yeah, I think, so if you look at the matchup as like EGP favored, it really comes down to how can the underdog team find a way to win. And when you look at randoms, you have two players that have a lot of history or at least competitive experience inside of the scene. One in being the support in Pawkus, and then the second being Cyber, having played at Western Ontario, being able to learn from Winston there, as well as having played for Revival with Concept at the time. So, you need to really lean into players that have that experience and find ways for them to connect with one another, and then find ways to leverage advantages inside of the game. So, you look at the flip side and you say, is the jungle attackable on EGP's side? And you go, well, Yukino, he doesn't have the most rampant experience. Faisal is the only returning member from EGP. Mia's new to the scene. So you have to find, I don't want to say the weakest, but easiest to attack link on EGP, and it just happens to be the jungle as well. So you really want to see the support jungle on AoE randoms linking up and really attacking Yukino to create openings inside of the game.
And I think it's fair to say that Cyber and Pawkus, they're no strangers to that sort of playstyle. I think we saw that from AoE randoms when Pawkus used to play on them back in summer 2021. It was sort of a more jungle attacking focused style, so I definitely think that is potentially something that could come out. And I love that you brought up Yukino as well, one of the younger players that we have here in the group stage. I believe only 17 years old. I could get fact checked on that. As we do bring up the rosters, Yukino being that new jungler for EGP, as well as Mia down there in the ADC position, the challenger queen herself. She has reached challenger in all 5 roles, a very impressive feat to say the least. But AoE randoms, it's looking like a good mix of some newer players and experience as well. RMC, what are we sort of looking at, from this roster, maybe attacking the jungle? Where might EGP want to get at them?
Well, and that's the thing about EGP. When we say that AoE randoms are attacking the jungle, we're not saying Yukino's weak by any means. We're saying that EGP is so strong across the roster that Yukino then, in relativity,
you gotta find a weakest link somewhere.
Potential. Exactly, and that's the scary part about EGP. They can play from any lane they want. It goes down to their draft. Faisal carry games before last year on AoE, on other teams as well, on EGP as well. Last split, we touched on how good Mia is in that bot lane. She can pick up anything, and with the patch changes as well, I do feel like the versatility to pick up new champions could mess up the draft a lot. And mid lane, the Doxa diff, that was a huge focus last split in spring here for EGP. So really, I think for EGP, it just comes down to draft something solid for your team. Don't give weaknesses, and if you just play it out standard, play to your strengths here, they theoretically should be favored, and hence why we're seeing all the casters across the board, plus Twitter, 100% EGP vote.
Yeah, I think the one point I do want to add on here is you say that, inside of draft that it's very important. I do want to make a mention and remind people that this is on patch 1210B, which is a very, very hyper carry focused meta with weak side top laners. So if you really want to find a way for Evil Geniuses to kind of draft and, take the direction, it really helps if you find, a weak side scaling top laner that can kind of neutralize the top lane, find a good mid jungle connection, but then make sure that you're getting support counter pick. That way you have a strong bot lane that you can then play towards and really leverage an advantage from, because Mia, she's an amazing player in solo queue, very intelligent, and if you're really trying to find a win con, put her on one of her hyper carries that she'd perform well on, or even some of her unique picks. She played Karthus in the O queues, and I'd have no doubt that she has different other unique picks that can catch someone off guard and help create an advantage there. So that's really what you're looking for if you're an EGP fan.
Awesome. Well, let's try. It's time now. Let's put our money where our mouth is. Inkan, I'm going to ask you to be a betting man one more time. Predictions for the series, EGP up against AOER. Who we taking?
So I took EGP, but I think this is the surprise. I took it 2-1. I think that AoE randoms has the ability to surprise them inside of draft, and I actually posted my prediction of game 1 draft, and we'll see if it comes to fruition. If it does, I'll put it on broadcast, and I'll stand by my word. But I think they have the ability to draft in a manner that gets them a volatile game that isn't standard and surprises EG game 1, but to win twice in a row is a lot from them, so I think EG will take it 2-1.
All right, I like it. Predicting at least a close series, if not the result we may have expected. RMC, what about you?
Well, Incon, you know what? I'm gonna one-up you there. I thought 2-1 was a surprise. I'm gonna all-in AOE randoms here. I said I wanted an upset. And when I look at the matches, I think this might be the upset game for the same reasons you mentioned there. And I think if AOE randoms can win game 1, it will be off a surprise draft. It will be off a better meta read. And I think that's not something you can quickly correct between games. So if AOE randoms take game 1, I think they just take a quick 2-0, or else EGP just wins the series.
Man, 2-0 in amateur is a bold prediction. I would say it's wrong 100% of the time. So
RMC.
We had 3 2-0s last night.
That's true. RMC, are you a betting man? Because I will also take you on this bet if you want to, because I'm taking EGP 2-0. I think this team is way too good. I agree. AOE randoms, they're awesome, but I just don't quite think that they're going to stack up to the absolute powerhouse that I expect Evil Genius's Prodigies to be. But I got one more prediction for you guys. Game by game, being that we have the AOE randoms in the series, I'm going to leave a prediction to chance. Game number 1, who takes it? I'm going to flip a coin right here on my computer. And heads, it's EGP. Tails, it is AOE randoms, and I do get heads. EGP taking game 1 according to random chance. So
I think that's
randoms.
wrong.
Should have used the dice. Should have used the dice, man.
Maybe. But either way, we've got to send it over to casters for game number 1. Make sure you tweet at us, #WeAreUnified, so we can see your tweets, maybe feature you on the broadcast. But either way, it's game number 1. It's time for draft. Take it away, Smacks and Rude Dude.
Okay. All right, I see what happened. I see what happened there, Hawk. I called you Smacks yesterday. Now you get to call me Smacks today. That's what we're gonna do. All right. Some bullying, some return friendship.
That. I know we've had our fair share broadcasts together. I'm gonna remember that, Hawk. Anyway, thank you everybody. Welcome to the caster desk. I'm Grapes. This is Rue or Rue Dude, however you want to call it, with the letters that you see underneath your face.
Thank you. Thank you.
I saw a lot of AOE random support there in the desk. That's not something I was expecting.
Nor was I. We got to see our predictions as well a little bit before that. We're both firmly on the EGP hype train for this game. I'm going to be hoping for some upsets. Don't get me wrong, 3 games is certainly what we're here for. But in my eyes, this just seems like a quick 2-0 for EGP.
And when you look at the seeding, definitely makes sense. EGP being that 4 seed, AOE randoms a 13 seed. But, of course, I think Incon brought up a lot of points where some of the experience from AOE randoms really could stand out. I think Cyber and Pockets are really strong players. And then you have, Geiger, Nemet9, and of course Devin down in the bot lane who haven't had too much experience, but hey, Nemesis9 in the mid lane, he was one of the players that took down 100 Thieves Next last split in this similar situation where they were, that underdog. So it's always something we got to look forward to. But either way, really excited to just get into this one because I think overall this group has 4 really strong teams, and I think all of them have a lot to bring to the table.
Yeah, I think you're quite right. To touch on Nemesis9 a little bit more, you mentioned that win that he took was on that Team Ambition squad where the jungle matchup that he had, or the jungler he had rather, was Anticipation. And I think that this sort of fits a little bit similarly to Cyber, where they can share these aggressive AD jungles as a champion pool. We saw time and time again, and I think that it's something that maybe we won't see on durability patch, but something that we could have seen is the potential to flex between the likes of the Zed jungle. The Talon as well was a big one for them, and what we still can't rule out in this game itself is that Nemesis9 will not pull out the things like a Yone, like a Talon, or the likes of that. The assassins in the mid lane, whilst a little bit worse for wear, can still be utilized in this game.
You're talking about assassin players, Rooted, but let's not forget who's on the other side of the board as well. Yukino, Doxa. Hey, I wouldn't even be surprised if we randomly see like a Senna Zed bot lane here with Mia and Donbray. That would be something that we got to just keep in our minds as well. This team has a lot of flexibility and a lot of really explosive players that I'm really excited to see on the Rift. Head into the draft for game number 1. Evil Genius's Prodigies will be on the blue side to start off. I believe that's kind of been the priority for a lot of the teams so far, just because of some of the power picks that have existed in the meta right now.
Yeah, and we're talking about power picks. Unfortunately, whenever you play up against Cyber, you have to ban Kha'Zix. It's not necessarily a power pick in the meta, it's a power pick when you play up against Cyber. You take that away from them every single game so that they don't get to style on you 1v9. Now, if you're AOE randoms here, I think that there are a few bans that you pretty much must do. Zoe, I feel like, is one of them to get rid of that away from Doxa. I think that also trying to get rid of the Viego for Yukino might be something that's worth doing. Unfortunately, they're on red side, so they have the onus of banning everything that is really a little bit too strong and that they don't want to be giving over for first pick. The things like the Wukong stand out as things that we've seen as fairly high presence and could be taken away on that red side as well.
Yeah, Wukong, Lucian, and Talia, I believe, are the three that I specifically had in my mind in terms of things that you would more likely see on the ban table. As we see the Talia taken away on EGP side, actually not being on the red. Senna also a ban. We saw Donbray and Mia play this pretty well and pretty effectively in the open qualifier with that Senna Karthus bot lane actually earlier on. So that would be, taking both of them away to make sure that EGP doesn't get their hands on that one. We'll see the final ban is on Genius's side. It will be likely that Lucian, and then we'll see where the draft goes from there.
Wukong taken away, so they're setting themselves up for what could easily be then this Viego first pick. We do still have Lilia open if they want to go for that. Dox's Zoe does get banned away, and instead Evil Genius is opting to Lucian first pick. You touched on 2 out of 3 of them, right? EGP banned Talia, they banned Wukong, and they pick up Lucian for themselves. So, by the 3 champion list that you gave us, Grapes, they're coming out on top so far. AOE Randoms, they've got that choice. They know exactly what ADC they're going up against. We need to remember that this is where hyper carries have started to excel. Things like Twitch, Kog'Maw, Vayne all exist that you can try and take if you want to play a little bit of a slower game itself.
Yeah, and we'll see if that ends up coming through. I know Mia, she definitely can play some of those hyper carry marksmen, and Devin as well. I think a lot of players don't really know much about this more new player here down in the bot lane, but played on a bunch of the tier 2 teams here in amateur last year, and now I'm finally getting a step into the main group stage here on AOE Random. So excited to see how that bot lane matchup also specifically works out. On the R1-2 for AOE Randoms, it will be Lilia and Karma. Lilia has risen up pretty highly in priority, Rude. We saw yesterday AOE Ginger Turmeric also really highly prioritizing that pick.
And they were able to use it as a flex pick as well, particularly when we look at this top lane matchup. I think that we highlight that both of these 2 players are very adept at playing weak side. Both Geiger and Faisal can get away with that. So if you are opting into a tank, you cannot rule out the fact that Lilia will go into that top side of the map. I also want to point out for EGP here, the fact that they picked up the Nami kind of cancels this out, but that they could have opted for a Lucian solo lane. This still a champion that very much exists in top and mid lane. And if you wanted to go for something like the Jhin in the bot lane for Mia, there's a chance that you can still flex this Lucian around to get a favorable top or mid lane matchup, but they do opt for the Nocturne, and that signifies to you that you want to be going for some dive. And so far out of the rest of the map, EGP don't have too much to pair nicely with Yukino just yet.
Not just yet, but you are playing with the likes of Faisal and Doxa. Players with very, very wide champion pools can play some of those assassin dive heavy compositions. So we'll see what ends up going on in the second half of the draft. On the other side, AOE Random's going to round out their bot lane with an Ezreal over for Devin. So it's a standard Lucian Nami versus Ezreal Karma, 2 bot lanes that really have a lot of synergy together and will try to perform very adamantly in the laning phase. We are into the second ban phase right now, Rude, and most of the solo lanes will be the target here as they have not been selected yet.
Yeah, and you can see already AOE Randoms are saying, okay, well, those dive champions that want to pair nicely with the Nocturne are going to be our target. We take away the Camille, makes a lot of sense, and there may well be another one up in that top line. Potentially they just want to get rid of an Ornn or something like that if they want, not so much ease of execution for the engage for Faisal on that top side. Instead it's an Olaf, so interesting pickup that again wants to go diving, and we haven't really seen Olaf shoot to prevalence too much, haven't seen it showcased as much as maybe we are expecting, but that ban could be something to keep in mind for future games.
Yeah, you see that Olaf banned against like a team with already has locked in Nocturne. That's because Olaf at this point is a solo laner, can go up in the top side. Would definitely be expecting Faisal to have that in his arsenal. Really just kind of fits with the way that they want to work things. Lissandra and Tristana banned on the other side for Evil Genius's Prodigies. Nem9 on the Tristana. It makes a lot of sense. Wouldn't be surprised to see a champion of a similar nature, and it looks like they will save that counter pick for their mid lane with an R pickup.
Okay, so they get rid of their potential Lilia flex here. They're allowing Faisal to have a answer in the top lane. Typical answers have been either the Aurelia or the Gwen, and the Ahri goes through in the mid lane as well. Sort of saw that one coming with the Lissandra ban. We've seen this rise as the Ahri counter pick of choice. If you get rid of that Lissandra, it opens up Ahri to be a very easy mid lane matchup for the most part. Have to see whether or not we go back a patch and keep LeBlanc as the answer in the mid lane. I don't expect that to be the case, since 1210B really did gut LeBlanc in her capabilities to really do too much, but there's always that opportunity that we talked about. Melee mids for Nemesis 9. Yone pulled out in game number 1. An exciting champion, and they've got enough magic damage through this Lilia on their own to facilitate an AD mid laner.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, Rude, because again, I don't remember if you were casting the series or not with the Team Ambition versus 100 Next, but I believe Nemesis 9 played the Yone in their win against 100 Thieves Next. Is that, or?
You know, I can't remember. I don't recall that far back, unfortunately, but I know that this is a Nemesis 9 champion.
Yeah, okay.
And if there was anything that would take down 100 Thieves Next, Yone in the late game, certainly one of those champions that can go the distance. And we're thinking about how these teams are going to function in those later stages, right? We talked on EGP wanting to use a fairly dive-centric topside. They've got Ari, they've got Gwen that can go diving, but for AOE randoms as well, they've got a lot of backline access to this Nami, to this Lucian, with Yone, with Gnar, and the Lilia as well. You've got True Shot Barrage to lay it over the top. There's a lot of long range from Devin that if you can keep safe away from this top side of EGP, you will be able to pump out that damage. And when you've got Karma as well to facilitate a bit of disengage for pretty much your entire team with Mantra E, if necessary, you can gateway a very easy way into those late game team fights to set yourself up for success.
The late game is where we're going to be looking for, Rude, because things are going to go down if we get to that point. We are onto the Rift. The champions traversing across the jungle. Game 1 between Evil Geniuses, Prodigies, and AOE Randoms. Day number 2 of the Proving Grounds Qualifier. Ready to see some action here. EG, definitely the favorites, but I like the points that you brought up, Rude. AOE Randoms, their draft definitely can be explosive.
And I think that early on, at least, when you have a Lilia, your early on ganks don't necessarily set you up too nicely. What you want to do as Cyber is maybe get some creative pathing around the jungle to try and generate an advantage over this Nocturne, because Lilia clears incredibly quickly, even though, you know, you don't have the auto attacks to necessarily think that you might hurt AOE damage from Watch Out Eeps, Wall Seed, and the Q as well, or get you through that jungle so fast that you can probably make some maneuvers happen. And then we're looking at the top lane, at the mid lane, to see where your priority is going to lie, because for AOE randoms, you're not expecting them to find push in a Lucian versus Ezreal matchup. The Karma versus Nami maybe going to tip all the scales the other direction. You can already see down on the spot side that Mia and Dombre, they're looking to set something up and not even let access to the wave happen without a bit of a fight.
Yeah, I think we really have to focus a lot of our attention in this game towards this bot lane, Rude, just because I think if AOE Randoms can get through it, the laning phase will be a good spot for them in the later stages. We see already early trading with Mia and Dombre, and they're just going to try to push this wave out, garner as much pressure as they possibly can.
Yeah, Piercing Light from Mantra Q. They don't quite land the extra damage onto Mia there. So Devin getting a little bit worse for wear on the end of those trades, particularly when you're thinking that Nami is going to have the sustain as well. With that ebb and flow, you can keep your health pool nice and topped off. Worth mentioning as well, whilst this bot lane is pushing, that our junglers are both pathing down to the bot side. Both Yukino and Cyber starting on that top side, red buff and blue buff respectively. They are going to meet around this bot lane scuttle, around this bot lane, which currently is pushing the weight of AOE randoms. But the point to note, EGP got a ward down on the red buff, AOE randoms not able to find a ward in response until EGP start. Yukino's start pretty much hidden to begin.
Yeah, Yukino getting on to the bottom side quadrant earlier. It is important to note that Cyber did take the Krug, so a little bit of a slower clear time in that regard will catch up likely on the second half of the clear. But it's actually Devin and Pockets getting the early, advantage, early push in that bottom lane. They have the early range advantage at the moment, and so Mia and Dombre are just going to sit under their tower for a little bit longer.
Yeah, Karma really, like I say, tipping the tides in their favor then in this bot lane matchup. You don't really have to land those Qs necessarily on the champions. If you can try and bounce them off the minions as well, you can sometimes get some cheeky extra damage. But now that wave has crashed, now it's bouncing back as well, and got a charm in the mid lane. A little bit of trading going back and forth, a bit of a foreshadowing at least for how we can expect these later game interactions to go between the two mid assassins.
The Yone is always really interesting because you can basically trade for free as much as you want. You can sometimes see them diving even under the tower with the wave already under their tower, just because you can. If anything ever goes wrong, just press E, jump right back. Nothing ever happened really. But the shove still belongs to Doxic despite that early trade, and it will mean that Evil Geniuses gain control around this bottom side scuttle crab.
Yeah, and you can see that both of the bot lane and the mid lane were setting up for this play in advance, right? The AOE randoms bot lane hard shoved a bit too much, and Mia and Dombre said, yeah, fine, we'll let this bounce and then we'll shove in on the time that our jungler comes down to the bot side. Remember that these early game scuttle crabs, they don't have as much of an impact as they did do in, Season 10, Season 11. It's one getting traded over is really no big deal at the end of the day, but it's good to see that they're on the same page, set up and ready to go, because Yukino was able to, get that scuttle crab. He is slightly behind the play in terms of his clear. We've got Cyber already out on the map, but again, these are just small things that ultimately, given the span of the game, shouldn't have too much impact.
Yep, junglers now towards their top side. It will just be that crab for crab trade as Cyber was able to get that onto the map faster with an accelerated reset, getting up to the top side to help Geiger push the lane into Faisal. So that's the first kind of interaction we've seen here up top side. We talk about Faisal a lot as being a player that a lot of us are super excited about, but Geiger also another one that I personally, I know you are, Rude, as well, very, very excited to see perform.
Yeah, Geiger almost made it into the second round of PGCQ. I have to hold it as Faisal's going in. Looks very close between these two. But he played on a team called No Name that were 2-3 in the open qualifiers, and actually played on a team with Ayukura, who we'll get to see a little bit later on Taco Gaming.
He gets punished here. Hop for skip and slash. Definitely an advantageous trade for Faisal. Just trying to get the wave in a little bit of a better spot with both the health bars. That's pretty low places. The ghost actually popped by Faisal. Geiger has to flash away. And let's see how much damage Faisal can do here. There's the snip. Not enough. He's going to force it back in the early teleport.
So both mobility summoners out of the top laners, of course. Both of them have fairly short dashes on their E's when they do start to cycle those cooldowns back up. So the gank potential for both of our junglers, not necessarily the highest, but you may look to see a bit more action up there with Flash Burn, with Ghost Burn on respective top laners. With the way that the junglers are pathing right now, all they're doing is clearing from top to bot lane. So this bot lane has been the real focus when we hit that level 6 marker at the end of these second and third clears. You can already see Cyber on the Gromp. Yukino's hovering in this bot lane in case anything happens, and that may be pretty useful because Nemesis has just hit level 6. He's roaming down through the river.
Yep. No ultimate available on Yukino. Is going to actually fully channel the back. And now 4 members are here against the 2 of Evil Genius's Prodigies. There's a Swirl Seed already. Big slow. Fate Sealed not utilized just yet. Nemesis 9 is going to continue to go forward. His first blood gets secured by Devin. And that is the second as Dawn Brave falls. AOE randoms with the first 2 kills of the series.
Really well played by AOE. They use their mid-timer to get a bit of a roam on, and Nemesis 9 makes the difference there. Yukino basing in the brush, doesn't want to waste too much time, and unfortunately does lose out on 2 kills. You get to see, we called Nemesis 9 moving down from mid lane and trying to punish Mia and Dombre for getting this wave crashed into the turret, and do so perfectly, right? There's really good target selection, I suppose, from all sides. The double Swirl Seed sets up the play beautifully. And also I want to give a little bit of credit over to the Evil Genius Prodigies bot lane. They don't burn their summoners for no reason there. They recognize that they were dead, and they're going to keep those summoners for a later date.
Very impressive stuff out of AOE randoms. Devin and Pockets overall were able to maintain a very even lane state against what many consider to be one of the top bot lanes in Amateur in Mia and Dawnbray. And with all the kind of state that they were able to keep the lane in, they allowed for Cyber and M9 to come down. They get the 2 early kills, and all of a sudden, that scaling possibility we were talking about with AOE randoms is even more a possibility here.
And I want to draw your attention to our mid lane itemizations once again, because this is tier 2 boots rush on both of the mid laners. They want to get out on the map, and yeah, exactly, make those roams happen. It's going to be largely around the bot lane, I imagine, from what we've seen from our jungle path as Mia. There's a bubble landing, but not going to dash all the way into the front-loaded damage that Devon's putting out.
Big damage coming out from Devon. Already has a Sheen and a double longsword on the other side. Only that dagger here for Mia in terms of just damage capabilities in the early game. Gonna get the wave pushed out. Dragon not spawning for a while as AOE randoms were able to collect that off of that one fight. So Yukino, with that level 6, won't be able to do much in terms of objectives down bottom.
Whenever you get Nocturne level 6, there's so much hype, and willingly so, and quite rightly so, about the first Paranoia. If you get something going with it, you generate an advantage, then Nocturne obviously feels very good about themselves. If not, then you have that 2-minute window where Nocturne feels pretty useless post level 6, which isn't too great. Now this Rift Herald, 8 minutes 18 into the game, isn't going to be the biggest party necessarily. You can see that Cyber already down in the bot lane, or the bot side of the map at least, and Mia gets a little bit punished.
Yep, Dawnbray did roam up for the Herald, and so as a result, Mia will have to burn that heal as well as the culling to get a little bit of extra trade damage back. The wave will shove into her rather easily, and likely will be able to secure at least a little bit of this farm, but maybe not. Cyber also coming down to the area with Yukino and Dawnbray taking the backs. Mia might have to lose out on a lot here.
Yeah, we credited Mia and Dawnbray for not burning their summon spells earlier in a dead play, a play that they're obviously dead in, and they may be looking to utilize a little bit more. Yeah, Doxa could be that difference maker in this fight.
Devin still connects with the True Shot Barrage. Doxa force a Spirit Rush defensively. Will be enough for Mia to get under the wave and at least pick up a little bit of this farm. But nicely played by AOE Randoms, just continuing to press their advantages where they can. Swirlsly barely missing out onto Dawnbreak. Could have signaled a bit more of an engagement. Now a bubble lands, lights are turned off, and now Pockets is certainly dead. Yukino gonna pick that one up. The watch out Eep will get flashed away from Cyber. Still has a whole lot of HP, a whole lot of damage. Not risking the tower dive are the Randoms, as they will just go 1 for 0. Up top side, ultimate's traded. Faisal still chasing with the Ghost. Geiger does not have the flash just yet, but it will not be enough to get the solo.
Okay, and you can see the willingness to engage from EGP's bot lane. The second the bubble lands, they go in. Cyber back with no ulti to see if he can find something.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage. Yeah, there's the bubble. Exhaust going to come through, but it doesn't matter. Dawnbreak going to pick up the kill onto the Lilia. Devin trying to get one back, and Mia will fall, but a 1-for-1, all things considered, is not too bad for EGP.
No, I mean, they're going to be quite happy for the most part. Now, ultimate mid.
Oh, man. Fighting does not stop here. The ult is traded here by Nem9. Going to use the tether forward just for a little bit of extra damage, but with Yukino in the area, Doxa was in no danger whatsoever.
Did wonder there if Nemesis was going to go for a bit of an all-in response, and this is the initial play to start the whole sequence. The bubble lands from Dombre, and then immediately Ignite goes down, and unfortunately Pocus is going to fall. Spell Shield actually blocks the lilting Lullaby as well, so Yukino's flash under the turret is actually enough to get him out to safety, and then this is that return play where Mia and Dombre, they're slightly mindful that Cyber could be here. Very nice dodge out on the initial Q, and the exhaust from Mia actually, you know, whilst it does profit a kill, it does end up buying enough time for Devin to find the damage back onto Mia. She ends up falling in response, which, actually thinking back and looking on, given that Dombre got the kill out of that as well, is definitely very beneficial for the AOE random spot lane. Devin currently with that completed Essence Reaver, got a tier as well stacking up, versus the components of what is most likely to be a Gale Force for Mia. Certainly a beneficial bot lane state for AOE randoms.
Yeah, really impressive stuff out of Devin and Pockets. I feel like for Pockets specifically, with all the experience that he has down in the support role, doesn't maybe get as much respect as he deserves, and you can see how impactful that he has been alongside the rest of his team down in the bottom lane, really stifling Mia, who has been one of the really promising players here in the amateur space.
A little bit of poke from Devin. You can see it starting to stack up with that completed Essence Reaver. That these Mystic shots aren't just tickling anymore. We're past that part of the laning phase. They are starting to deal some significant damage, and the fortunate point for EGP's bot lane here is that there's a Nami with blue buff in the lane. Damage has to stick, and it has to stick hard. Otherwise, that healing is just going to continue to come through.
9. Doxa taking a big chunk of damage. No ultimate there on the Yone, so no trading has to be done there. But you can see the aggression that AOE Randoms is continuing to press.
2v3
in the bottom lane area. Yeah, Nocturne is here. Hasn't used that Paranoia. So just be, you know, the back off for now. Dragon is available. EG have the push. Wouldn't be surprised if they try to make a play.
You love the confidence that Mia's playing with right there. You know, I've got Nocturne in my back pocket. You can't step up to me, otherwise Yukino's just going to come flying in, and we're going to win a fight out. We do have that Drake spawning now. This is the second one of the game, Ocean Dragon spawning, and it was EGP that sacrificed that first one, gave it up. AOE Randoms to take it. It looks like instead of opting for that Drake, they're going to go for a few plates. That Rift Herald is a few seconds from despawning and getting gold onto Doxa. We've no previous tournaments here. Former finalist is definitely not a bad move.
Oh, Mia getting tagged by the Swirl Seed. Doesn't look like AOE Randoms want to go in. Teleport advantage, crucially, is in favor of Geiger up in the top side of the map. They will get all 3 plates here before that final one ends up dropping. So the Rift Herald utilized with pretty good success. This Ocean Drake might be the topic of conversation. Randoms definitely has the potential to go for this fight, especially with that TP up top.
Yeah, still pre-14 minutes, so it's going to be a fairly distanced teleport if Geiger can get into the mix, but Faisal may just look for a solo kill himself. This is level advantage. AOE Randoms take the Drake down on the bot side. It's traded for a few top camps. We'll have to see if Yukino can get more than just that Raptors.
Groups up, EGR, them trying to get in. Not going to be able to land an ulti just yet. It looks like Evil Genius and Prodigies making their way to the rotation of the top side of the map. Just making sure that they aren't trying to force a fight in a precarious spot under the tower. So it's a 2 Drake lead for AOE Randoms. It's a 1 kill lead for AOE Randoms. As the lower seed in this group, this is very, very impressive stuff coming out from them.
It is, and I'm glad that you bring up those metrics, because unfortunately the one thing that they aren't ahead in is gold. And EGP are still largely ahead in gold, and I think the majority of that stems from this top lane matchup. If we get a look, yes, there's a slight difference. Obviously, Dox with the most gold in the game thus far, largely because of those plates. But if you look at the difference between the top laners, it's actually only 400, 500 gold between them, so it is just slight advantages accrued between mid, between top, and those solo lanes currently just the difference, and that's not a discredit by any means to Nemesis 9. Obviously 1-0-0 off the back of that roam to the bot lane, but when the jungler gets Rift Herald and places it in your lane, there's not a right lot you can do to stop that.
Yeah, and another thing I noticed from that gold graph, Devin is currently 800 gold ahead of Mia at this point. She has not completed her mythic item just yet, so still will have to stack a little bit more pressure as Devin got a lot of help in the early laning phase and was able to get out of a maybe dangerous laning phase here with the Lucian Nami, but they might try to get a return back. Tidal Wave will not land onto Pocket's bubble, going to get shifted away from, and so EG trying to go for something aggressive, just haven't found it just yet.
A presence of mind from Pocket, so all credit going to them, because hesitant to hit that ward for a reason, and knew that Dombre and Mia, or didn't know, but expected that Dombre May could be in that brush and play accordingly.
Another bubble will land. Mia might try to go aggressive, has to dash away from that Swirl Seed. Cyber, really good timing to make his way down bottom.
Yeah, exhaust used, and I think heal wasted there by Mia, unfortunately. Wasn't in any danger. There was no damage from Cyber to, start off a lilting lullaby, but better safe than sorry in all cases, and out to safety in that 2 versus 3 once again. You've got Yukino shadowing down on this bot side just in case, and with no vision on Yukino on this side of the map there, maybe just playing with that respect again, that whilst this Nocturne is not visible, could very easily be in the bot side of the map.
Yeah, he was. Looks like their suspicions were correct. And it looks like because of that, Devin and Pockets will just go for the reset, not opting for anything more aggressive. It's been a relatively slow game after that crazy set of fights that we had maybe 5 minutes ago, where it was just continuous all across all lanes. Just 5 kills at 15 minutes here. And I think this does work well for AOE Randoms. They are okay with scaling to the late game because the team fight that this team possesses, if you get to that late game stage, really, really good.
Yeah, the ceiling of an Ezreal in a team fight is nearly unmatched by a Lucian. You outrange the Lucian for the most part. Yes, he's got Gale Force plus that Relentless Pursuit, and if you're using those things to try and gap close, for example, then that tends to be how you want to be doing it, but it can be quite difficult to position yourself at that same point as well. Plus, we've got that Yone factor, the AOE Randoms Geiger top lane Gnar into a wall is again something that if you hit that perfect team fight, you don't really have an answer to as EG. There's a lot of mobility to get out of it, so it is going to be very difficult. But there's always that window where Geiger finds a flank, gets a quick flash, stun into a wall, and all of a sudden your team fight just feels over because the wombo combo between that plus a sleep from Lilia plus the Fate Sealed from Nemesis 9, these are all big cooldowns that when used in combination and used on multiple members, you start to question what EGP can do to stop that.
And for EGP, I think it is about trying to push the gold lead that they very, very slightly have at the moment. First step here will be, taking this top lane outer turret. Yukino does have the Herald, does not want to use it actually on the tier 1. Thinks that they could get something more if they continue to save it for another time. So it will just be the outer tier 1 falling. Geiger forced to cede a little bit more of the CS that he is desperately behind on.
And what we can talk about for this top lane matchup is that it was a complete island, right? Until 15 minutes, well, basically 17 minutes here, really. It was a 1v1. Faisal and Geiger had gone head-to-head pretty much for the entirety of the laning phase, and Faisal's the one that came out on top. Yes, his turret got broken by a jungle encounter more so than anything. Yukino coming up just to seal the deal on that. But there was that lead that was generated through just Faisal exclusively. So credit to Faisal for getting the counter matchup and then making the most of it, having this Gwen into the Gnar that they knew would be a good laning phase for them to generate leads for their own.
Yeah, ahead by about a blasting one up in the top side. Nemesis 9 making his way down to this bottom lane now that the tier 1 was cracked open in the bot side. Devin and Pockets will have the ability to continue to garner pressure against any lane that they want just due to the nature of the Ezreal Karma matchup here. Rift Herald will be spawned here in the bottom lane. Looks like that EGP want to funnel some more gold into Mia, as she has not been as ahead as she has been throughout the open qualifiers.
No, and I really like the timing on this as well with this Drake spawning, hoping to use Herald to get a little bit of priority in a lane, but AOE Randoms, they're just starting it.
Yep, Tidal Wave is coming out. Here comes the Paranoia as well. Yukino and Doxa are diving into the back line. Dragon is secured by the Randoms. The first kill is in favor of EGP. Now take a look at the rest of the fight. Fate Sealed doing a big amount of damage. Double kill into the hands of Doxa, and look at the damage coming out from Evil Genius's Prodigies. Cyber still alive, going to flash over with the Blooming Blows to take down the side of Dawnbraid. Doxa versus Nemesis 9. It is just going to be the Ahri trying to chase down the Yone, and you have to take the tether back. Not looking good here for the AOE Randoms mid laner. There comes the Charm, a little bit more damage. Doxa with kill number 3. P win the fight.
Electrocute coming back just in time to cement Doxa's kill there, and in a very split fight, it's AOE Randoms that come away with the Dragon, but it's EGP that come away with the fight. A very close one, spread across multiple fronts. A 1 fight just for EGP. A 4 for 3 overall, if my maths is right. We're going to get another look at it right here. So have a look at where everybody goes to. We talked about the mobility across both sides. Everybody splits the second that Paranoia comes down. And it is just Cyber left in the pit, freely able to take that smite. And Doxa, wreaking havoc in the backline, takes down Devin, manages to come back in and sweep out Geiger as well. But this entire time, Cyber puts Mia to sleep and manages to flash over the wall, take down Dombre as well. Bot lane's really not having a good time this game up against the mobility of the top side. And yeah, we get to see this nice little scuffle in the backline as they actually cut back to life because there's some more action maybe to be had.
And it was a 4 for 3, so not a super, like, you know, like big win for EGP in terms of numbers, but with the health advantage that Dox and Faisal did have at the end of that, they were able to get a lot of pressure, able to farm out some waves and continue to gain more advantages over the map. And because of that, it is currently a 2,500 gold lead for Evil Genius's Prodigies. Look at the spike that has happened in the last couple of minutes, Rude.
And now we may get to see Faisal in a bit of trouble.
Does have a lot of damage. Needlework has been popped. Eve doesn't actually connect just yet. Geiger's taken low and Geiger will fall. Faisal winning out on the 1v2.
I'll fight you. Don't worry about it. You can bring your jungler if you like. I've been winning this top lane for the entirety of the matchup. Jungler at this point is not going to swing it, and that could be a really important play. Now Yukino shows his face mid lane.
Yeah, Paranoia coming out exhausted onto Yukino, but the damage is just too much from 3 members of EGP. That is Devin falling for the second time.
Really well played by EG, all off the back of Faisal being able to manifest a 2v1 win for himself. Just sets up the rest of the team to make a play in the mid lane. Devin, unfortunately, overextended. You may think that under your own turret is safe, but not when you're up against a Nocturne.
Trading here in mid. Nemesis9 has a shield bow already popped, but you can see the damage that Yon is able to pull out here. Does proc the shield bow out of Doxa. Yep, thank you, production. Gwen was immune in that fight a little bit. Faisal playing it really, really well as well. And this has been a big strong point for Evil Genius's Prodigies. Faisal, of course, being the only remaining player on this team from the last split. And we're seeing right here why EG decided to keep him on the roster.
Yeah, just incredibly strong on their own. We talked about the limited resources that Faisal was given in the early stages of the game. And look at them now. 2-0-2, bounty on their head. There's no reason to have, really ever gotten out of the Faisal hype train, and I'm still firmly on board. 202 CS at 21 minutes, nearing perfect in that regard as well. So Faisal certainly showcasing why that was the case for Evil Geniuses, and up against this AOE random squad who have certainly put them to the test in this early game. I know that coming into this I was expecting a one-sided victory, but AOE randoms have given me anything but that to begin with.
Yeah, definitely not one-sided. It is still the sole point. In the hands of the randoms right now, Rude. It's a 4,000 gold lead, sure. EGP definitely have that working in their favor, but items are starting to come in here for the randoms. 2 items now on Devin, likely 2 onto Nem9 and onto Cyber by the time this next dragon fight ends up breaking out. So a lot of things to kind of keep in mind here. Randoms, they definitely have the potential to win the fights. It was really close the last time around.
I wonder if we can get a check, because I've noticed Yukino has Anathema's Chains as their second item. I want to know who has been anathemaed. We have to scroll through, I think, the AOE randoms players to see who's got the debuff above them, but with the ability to extend CC onto one specific target, your target selection has to be on point if you're Yukino. You obviously want to try and sync that up with the Anathemas, but it just makes dueling up against him so difficult if you are an AOE random that has been targeted by it.
Yeah, if I had to guess, probably Nemesis9. Oh, no, not the buff on him right now. So we'll keep looking around right now. Make sure who is going here. But either way, Dragon spawning about 20 seconds. Looks like AOE random's actually going to maybe fight for the objective. We still see Cyber and Nemesis9 up towards the top side of the map. And because of that, EG basically have the ability to do whatever they want.
Okay. Oh, well, we just heard as well from production that currently Anathema's Chains isn't on anyone. Has not been linked to anybody just yet. But we'll hopefully see that changed by Yukino. And with the Drake spawning, it looks like AOE randoms have quite willingly sacrificed this. This is the power of having 3 dragons to begin with, is you can trade for topside gold. They got themselves 1 tier 1 turret, which in the long span of things isn't the biggest win. And when you're playing up against Faisal, who's going to be that defender of the top lane, we've already seen his ability to 2v1, and maybe you have to send 3 to 4 members up to plane, which then starts to cede a lot more map priority in exchange for just a dragon, which never really feels worth it.
Yeah, you take the advantages where you can, right? It's like he was sitting there, The one time Faisal's not like in a side lane, AoE Random is like, okay, this is our chance to maybe try to do something up top. And now they have a little bit of extra gold in their pockets. Gold lead has maybe mitigated slightly, but still into EG's favor. Nemesis9 diving forward, but going to tether right back as the tidal wave comes out. But here comes Yukino in with the paranoia and fearing up to. Here comes the calling out, not doing a whole lot of damage just yet. So just the trades of ultis, nothing other than that. No bloodshed.
Okay, backside of the red buff pit, I thought that Doxa may be looking for an engage, but without that paranoia, it does become a little bit difficult. A little bit split on their call here so far, EG.
Oh no, Donbray's in trouble. Donbray is dead. Nemesis9 from all the way from across the map just dashes and slashes his way to a kill.
Yeah, just slightly mismatched for EG there. Yukino pulls the trigger in a 5 versus 4 that Evil Geniuses recognized that they don't want. Fortunately, they've adjusted and now opted in side laning, which Doxa and Faisal are going to be able to net at least one turret out of. No ulti, remember, for Nemesis.
Gonna be 2, yeah. No base shield here. Nemesis9 is taking a big chunk of damage, but Doxa is too. There's the flash forward, and where's the Doxa diff here? Nemesis9 picking up 2 straight kills.
Late game Yone, he's hit 2 items, and whilst that may not be your typical late game standard, he's got level 15. He has got a ton of damage in the back pocket with no armor on Doxa. He's a full item up over this mid laner and still comes out behind without ultimate as well. With Ignite, truly incredible that Nemesis9 is able to come out on top of that engagement.
You see EG, they tried to make the play. They said, okay, we lost one. Let's try to split the map, take the 2 inner turrets. Worked in the bottom side, maybe not up towards the top side. It is 4 towers to 3 now. A little bit of a bug with the scoreboard up top side, but that's all right. It's right now a very, very even game state. We can see it just from how this last couple of minutes opened up.
And I really thought that 2v1 bot side was going to be the beginning of the end for AOE Randoms, but they've not rested on their laurels. They have came back and continued to look for these fights, continued to generate their own advantages. And going into this game, I touched on Nemesis9 as this melee mid player that can really try to carry your team. Currently 4-1. I think a lot of this game's responsibility for AOE Randoms lies with this mid laner. Has to prove himself now to be the upstart that AOE Randoms were looking for to carry this first game in the series.
And what I love out of like these like Storm Brothers, Yasuo Yone champions here is because the way the passive works with the 200% crit. You can go really defensive items after your first 2, and so we already see Nemesis9 working towards that Death Dance. What happened?
No, I hate that these bruisers that can one-shot me can go defensive items third. That's not fun for me.
No, definitely not. Not fun for a lot of people other than maybe the champions or their teammates as well. As the Mantra E has been popped here. Mia a little bit separated from her team. Baron on the table, but not taken just yet. The real focus, I think, is the Soul Drake that can be available for the taking in about 100 seconds.
Okay, we still have no QSS on Mia nor Mikhail's on Donbray, so if there is any form of sleep capability, Mia will go down. Tidal Wave called through mid lane to no avail. And I don't mind that on this window. I always say sort of in this later stages, 2 minutes to 90 seconds before an objective spawns is normally when you go for your last little fish, because those cooldowns are likely going to be back up and available just in case. But hey, nothing gained, nothing ventured. Although there is still that Baron up in it. And if AOE Randoms wanted to try for it, maybe they could do, but they're going to send Nemesis9 down to that bot side. This is double TPs for both of the laners down here. And I honestly don't know who comes out on top of this one. In all instances, I'd give the favor to Yone, but it's up to player at this point.
It's 3 items on Doxa. I believe Nemesis9 will have enough to likely complete that Death Dance upon the reset for the items on Mia right now compared to 2.5 as well onto Devin. They're both around an even state. And that's kind of where we stand. The resets are coming through. This Hextech Dragon, 40 seconds. The backs are synchronized here by AOE Randoms, which signals that they want to fight for it.
Going to be heading down toward this bot side. Now, taking that reset does mean that they give up all of the vision around it. They're going to have to work as a unit to get back into their own jungle and then back into the river. And you can see that they're just going to opt for this through mid lane mentality where you don't typically need as much vision. Now they're going to go straight in.
Sign gets hit by the charm. Still going to go forward with the bubble. Is able to tether back over to where he started. Mia is going to get hit up by the sleep, but nobody can engage because of the paranoia. Mia still survives, and nobody has fallen yet for EGP. Yukino does not decide to take the second half of the ulti and so it will just be a 5v5 from now. Doxa landing another charm in onto Cyber as EGP start up this Drake. It will be sold for the randoms if they pick it up, but they have to be so careful. Mia is so low at about 30% HP at the moment, and EG, they have to go first or else the soul will go down. In comes Yukino. It's going to be a 50-50 as Pockets goes down, and Yukino secures the Drake. Can the fight be won? Most likely not. There goes Nemesis 9, the other kill onto Cyber, and only Geiger remains. A double kill onto Mia, and it might be more as Doxa continues to chase. 4 dead, make it 5 maybe if the Spirit Rushes continue to go through. It's going to be a clean ace plus the Drake for EGP.
Wow, and just great stalling by Evil Genius's Prodigies. Mia gets slept, but it doesn't matter because Yukino uses the paranoia to stop everything. And then a fight gets forced by Evil Genius's Prodigies because they recognize, okay, Geiger, his Mega Gnar ran out. This Gnar in the top lane is effectively a really weak AD carry.
Oh, Mia.
EGP!
Oh, no. No, guys. We just want the fight. We don't need to die here right now.
I don't know that they can get this.
Yeah.
They're going to lose Inhib.
Faisal is pushing bot, so that is the trade that they will get. It is Inhibitor off of that one fight. That is the spoils of war, so to speak, here for EGP. No. They are unable to get the Baron. Maybe a little bit of, over-aggression there.
Yeah, they went for too much on the map there. I think that this isn't too bad for AoE randoms at all. They've still got teleport on Geiger and on Nemesis. He can stay in the bot lane, get super farmed up off of that. But we get to look at now this fight again initially. You can see Geiger charging forward, staring down the bot lane, trying to find an engage. But as soon as that Mega Gnar runs out, his team fight is just really non-impactful. Pockets gets absolutely obliterated in the backline, and Faisal is able to dish out an absolute boatload of damage as well. You see Geiger just wailing on Dombre that gets him to half HP, but it just doesn't compare to what Faisal was able to do.
Yeah, and just so much damage coming up from the Gwen. I mean, Faisal didn't get a lot of the kills there, but definitely did a lot of the damage, a lot of the healing. Now, working towards, I don't know what he's working towards. He had the stopwatch earlier.
So we're sitting on stopwatch. I think he's sitting on stopwatch until he uses it. Because once you use it, you can't have both anymore. You can't do the doubles on you. So now, this is where EG, they're going to opt into the Baron. They've got that bot lane inhib. It's been pushed quite a far ways away, so a long time till that pressure builds up into the bot lane. But AoE randoms, they have to place check this river entirely and try and find a way into this fight. Swirlseed's going to be their best friend for face checking brushes and potentially warding off the Baron. They've done it for now, but look immediately. Faisal into that top lane, creating split push pressure and maybe able to generate an extra bout of gold for himself.
And that's the thing right now, at this stage in the game. 31 minutes in. EG, they can get the small objectives. They can get the inhibitor on the bot side. They can get the lanes pushed in. But when they try to start up these major objectives, the poke coming out from AoE randoms is too much, seemingly. And they don't want to risk it, but it looks like they're going to try again. The Swirl Seeds continue to come out. Yukino is already low before a potential fight even begins here. And just like that, the rest of EG have to back away. Teleport going to come in here by Nemesis 9 to secure priority in the mid lane after the Baron fail.
And that's job done for EG Prodigies right there. They knew that Nemesis 9's teleport was already available. Now AoE randoms, they've got to go for a play. They've used this TP. They want to try and get something for it. Whether that is a start-up of the Baron and a potential fight themselves, we'll have to wait and see. But now the bot lane is left up to Geiger. Geiger has to go and take that wave. And he caught 1v1 Faisal in this state. 2 levels down. By far and away he's worse off for items. If EGP want to send Faisal down into this bot lane to shepherd those super minions in and take a fight up against Geiger, that's one that he's going to win. And then EG Prodigies are going to need, or they're going to have an extra member on the map because AoE randoms can send 2 people down to that bot lane if they want to. Looks like that's not their call and that's not their decision. They're going to try and keep on manufacturing turrets in the top lane and keep Faisal TP for later. Well, exactly. They just have this opportunity now where they've burned 1 TP. They're going to look to burn the other. And randoms having reset, they're going to be late to get back out onto this.
True Sharp Barrage does spot them out. Baron at about half HP. Cyber in the area is clearing the Raptors at the moment. 3,000 HP. Lights have been turned off, and it looks at the Baron. Jess will be secured. Beautifully executed by the side of Evil Geniuses. They don't want to take the fight, and so they say, okay, we're going to make sure that you can engage, make sure that there is no fight to have.
Yeah, not quite level 16 Nocturne, so we're not at that 1 minute Nocturne ultimate cooldown, but it's still fairly low by the time you've reset, got back out onto the map and are looking for plays to be made. That Nocturne ulti is going to be ready and you'll willingly use that in exchange for securing the Baron. Resets come through from the majority of EGP looking to spend a lot of that gold that they have from just waves being built up, what have you. 4 items now completed. 4 Docs have got a blue pot as well. This is going to be that last phase of the game, you imagine, where one fight decides it all. Getting to maximum capacity, maximum strength is important. 3 stopwatches for AoE randoms for this next fight. They can buy a lot of time, but it is also up against the 2 Zonyas for the double APs and a stasis for Dombre too.
Spawning in 15 seconds. It still is the soul for random. So if they get it and then somehow withstand this Baron buff without losing too much, that is a big, advantage that they can have. But it might look like they are just going to sack it. Yeah, EG would be really happy with 3 straight Hex Tech Souls. You look at Gwen, you look at Lucian, you look at Nocturne as well, champions that really benefit from the attack speed. Now AOE randoms might have to be a little bit careful still. Pockets and Devin pushing in this mid lane, but they have a lot of global potential on EGP. If they want to start a fight, they're likely able to do so.
Oh, and they might just go for Geiger down on the bot side here. Yukino doesn't have, or has Paranoia now, actually. Just going to wait for the rest of the team to come. And yeah, even if they don't go for the play, they've got mid lane priority. They've got Baron, and they're just going to end through mid, I guess. It's Inhib at least.
The resets are coming through from the randoms. Don't know if the game is necessarily under threat right now unless a fight is won here in the base. But it is 2 inhibitors gone down here by the side of the randoms. Oh, Pockets is nearly taken down. Mia one-shots to support, and that might be the key to win the game for EGP. Here comes the engage, the Paranoia. Geiger taken really low, forced to flash away. Nemesis 9 trying to do as much as he can, but Doxa will shut him down. G8 popped by Yukino. Doesn't matter. Here goes Cyber. The Eep comes through, the stopwatch is here, and Geiger's gone for the reset alongside Devin. Mia is exhausted and will be secured by Devin. And here comes another teleport. Faisal rejoining the fray, and he is so strong. He has so much damage, and he will not die. Taking down Cyber. Devin forced to go under the fountain. Another Inhibitor taken as well, and EGP are 4 strong still. Only 1 Nexus Tower remains.
Devin, can you do it? Up against 4 members of EGP, game number 1 in the balance.
Well, Nexus exposed. Here it goes. Can Devin secure the kill? They're just focusing the Nexus, and 35 minutes in, EG Prodigies take game number 1.
Wow, just a slight misstep in the late game, and EGP are more than willing to capitalize. They send Nemesis 9 up to the top lane without a way to get back, without having to channel that 8-second recall, and all of a sudden EGP, they pull the trigger, they take that mid lane inhibitor, and then the lethality from Mia there sees somebody just a split, 2 overextended. One shots Pockets, wins or sets up a 5v4, and one that EGP are more than happy to take. Faisal with that TP in, 1v3s in the front line while the rest of his team are limping away from what was a really close fight regardless. But kudos to Mia for finding that instinct and going for the play that really set up for that game to end.
And so far, throughout the open qualifiers, when we look at EGP, we look at Mia down in the bot lane, we've, considered a lot of her strengths being in the laning phase. And when it comes to team fighting, I mean, of course, she's going to win and do really well in them because she was so far ahead to begin with. But today, in this game, was falling a little bit behind. Cyber and the rest of the randoms really focused their attention down bottom, but despite all of that, Mia was still able to stay in the game, still able to find the crucial pick to give Evil Genius's Prodigies the first game of the group stage.
Yeah, and they've set themselves up then now for what could still be that fairly swift 2-0, even though it was a bit of a choppy game number 1, and AOE randoms certainly gave us a bit of a blow back and forth. I think that we could quite easily see this game still go, or this series still go to 3 games, but equally with the way that EGP were able to sort of slow down the game, I suppose, after what was a fairly hectic 5-10 minutes that we saw around that 5-10 minute marker. When they slowed the pace of the game down, they started to reaffirm their basic fundamentals and start to generate advantages through their best means of just finding somebody a little bit overextended, looking for map trades on the map that were beneficial, and getting themselves those leads back. And then they found these big team fights and setting up for Barons, finding fights off the back of them, and getting that win in the end.
Yeah, late game macro looked real good from EGP. They're going to try to close it out in the 2-0 in the next game. But before we do that, got to send it back over to the desk to see what they have to say about that. Hawk, take it away.